graph called a complete graph. And with a complete graph, we're going to have a name that we give it, and that name is going to be noted by the capital letter K. And with this capital letter K, you'll notice there's a number n. That number n tells us how many vertices I have on that graph. And with every single vertex, I'm going to connect it to another vertex with an edge. Okay, so a simple graph with n vertices and exactly one edge connecting each pair of distinct vertices. So what does that mean? Let's take a look. So we're going to draw complete graphs for K1, K2, K3, K4, K5. So I'm going to label them K1, K2, K3, K4, and we'll give K5 just a little bit more room. All right. K1 is super simple. Boom, there it is. There's just one vertex. So you can't have an edge if you don't have another vertex for it to go to. So this is all it looks like. If I'm looking at K2, I'm looking at two vertices, and that would be connected in between. Okay, so that graph would be a graph of K2. Let's look at K3. That would have 1, 2, 3 vertex. And so that would be connected to this one, and then to this one. So you have all 3 vertices connected by an edge. Now let's look at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to connect this one to here. We're going to connect it to the diagonal one, and we're going to connect it to the one below it. And then we're going to look at the next one and connect it to the one below, the one diagonal, and then we're just left with this last one. Okay, so that would be a K4 graph, where every single one of these vertexes is connected to the other 3. So this one is connected to all 3 of those, this one is connected to all 3 of those, and this one is connected to all 3 of those. Let's move on to a K5. A K5. And you do want to leave space in the middle of these. You don't want to, even though there's some creativity you can have with some of these graphs, you don't want to have them be something that you can't connect on the inside. All right, so K5, I'm going to start with one of these. Once I finish the one, then I will move over to the next one and the next one. So this is kind of the path I use to make sure that I don't miss anything. All right, so let's look at this first one. So I'm going to connect it to that. I'm going to connect it to that. I'm going to connect it to that. And then I'm going to connect it to that. And that should give me all of them for that particular one. So I'm going to erase that, and I'm going to move on to this next one. So let's look at these. That next one is already connected here, so I'm going to connect it downward. I'm going to connect it over here. I'm going to connect it over here. Okay, so we have that connection. And then we're going to look at this one. Okay, so we're just going to keep moving around the circle. I'm not going to keep drawing those arrows, so but you know where I'm going. Okay, and then the next one is going to be this down here. And then once I finish that, I think I've gotten pretty much everything that I can out of that. Now, as you get more and more, if you go to 6 and 7 and 8, it just becomes more complex and there's more connections on the inside. And quite frankly, it starts to look like really pretty art. I don't know if you ever did string art as a kid with little nails and then rope string across it. So that's what this starts to look like. Okay, so these are your complete graphs with the labels of K.